bit sassy, a little bit crazy, a little bit classy. We got dreams and we got goals. We're just a couple of old sassholes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Couple of Sassholes podcast. I'm Brooklyn Johnson.
And I'm Heather Terry.
And this is our power hour of true crime, where we talk about fucked up people doing fucked up shit, usually for fucked up reasons or no reasons at all, or because things are crooked upstairs.
Things are crooked upstairs.
Crooked upstairs.
I love the little do dance.
I mean, now people can see it.
I know.
Now I'm like, get the shoulders back into it. Feel what you feel. Feel it. Yeah?
Yes.
Good.
Someone's ready.
Someone is ready.
Someone's ready to deliver.
Or tell a story.
I know. You know what I wasn't ready to deliver? I have to tell you this. I've been waiting to tell you this.
I know. And it makes me so nervous when you do that.
No. It's
Expectations are high.
Okay. Well, either way, fake it till you make it. So I was getting ready. I got out of the shower. I had peed. Listen. Okay. Toilet lid was up. I was in the mirror. My toilet's right behind me. I was rushing because, shocker, I was running late. So I went like this. Tweezers in my hand. Flew out of my hand. Into the toilet. Into my pee. So I started my Monday morning reaching my hand into my toilet, into my own pee.
How do you feel about that when you have to like put your hand in your own pee? I try to tell myself when I'm about to do something that I'm not thrilled about that involve, like I was like, you know what? That's my pee.
Okay, here's the thing.
It's my pee.
I had a moment of shame standing here naked, standing over my pee, looking at my favorite pair of tweezers. Like, this is your life and you have to do it. No one's here. I have to tell Brooklyn. But like Monday fucking morning and I have to stick my hand in my own pee, and then I was mad.
Dude, I can't remember. I just recently dropped my phone in the toilet, and it was during...
Is that why you weren't shocked that I had to stick my hand in my own pee? Because
Yeah.
you didn't even react. You were just like, oh yeah.
Because I just recently had to do it. And I'm trying to remember right now because Travis's nephew, Trevor, he's 14, 15, and it's just that's a really fun time whenever they're a nice person. And he was there in the living room, and I can't remember if it was the 4th of July. I think it was 4th of July. You were there. No, you weren't there this 4th. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's what it was. And I think I told everyone I hadn't peed in the toilet, and I can't remember if I had. Because I couldn't then rinse it off.
So you dropped your phone in your own piss.
And so I had to react fast. It was like, this is your fucking phone and piss. There was no, do I want to touch my own pee?
Well, it's your phone. At least mine was tweezers. I literally was about to Google.
I have to live more. Tweezers are more important to me than a fucking phone at this stage.
I know, but like I looked in there and I was like, if I flush this, I had to do a debate. You didn't have a debate.
No, I had no time.
Like mine was like, is this going to fuck up the pipes? And then do I want to Google this?
No, you could not have flushed that.
Yeah, I know, but I thought about it for a second.
Why didn't you just grab like house cleaning gloves or something? If it was that.
Because I didn't think about it until you said it just now.
I see your face. I was like, just grab house cleaning gloves. Mine was a phone, so I was like,
I
grab.
reacted, and I think I was so disappointed in myself because literally just turning around like...
Mine flew out of my pocket
and it was
right before I took my dick out. Like, that's why I'm like, how did that even... I still don't know how I dropped it in there. I think it was when I turned around and went to take my pants... Okay, so I hadn't peed. Went to take my pants off, and that's when it fell in. So mine was pee-free.
So you just wanted to participate in the
No,
story?
because now that I think about it, I'm like, wait, I remember it falling from my back pocket. And I'm also like, I mean, I did think to myself, 800 people have peed in this toilet today because it was our 4th of July party.
Yeah.
And then I remember trying to I couldn't rinse off my phone. And it was like, at the end of the day, it was still pee water. It doesn't matter that it's not yellow. That's pee water.
If it's yellow, let it mellow.
You ain't lying, man.
Yeah.
Rough on the pipes. Anyway,
so that was my Monday morning. And
I did spray with Lysol for anyone that's questioning what I did with my phone. I went and I got a microfiber
and then she put it on her face right away.
I put Lysol.
Yeah.
Because I don't have just bags of fucking rice. But I also was like, your phone's supposed to be able to be submerged more than that, as we learned from Travis dropping his phone in the water.
So anyway, that's what I had to do. And now the fact that you shattered my dreams by saying, why didn't you put gloves on? Because I didn't fucking
Where you're just naked staring at tweezers.
I literally was like, I'm so late. This is so annoying. Fuck it, just do it.
So
Then I had to
you
wash
got
my
out of the
whole
shower and you went to the restroom and then you just carried on naked?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was getting ready.
I totally get it.
It was literally like 5 minutes after. It's not like
I am very rarely naked and out in a boot in my home for 5 minutes naked. Like, I don't know. I'm easily chilled.
well, I was just
I like
got
a
done.
nice robe.
Yeah, I was filming OnlyFans and I got done. No,
That makes sense. Now it ties
Yeah,
together.
right.
Now I get it.
But anywho, sir, I had to tell you.
I wonder how many people are looking at Heather Terry on OnlyFans right now to see if you really
DM
are.
me if it's worth it. No, I'm kidding.
If I get enough requests,
Listen,
I will start an OnlyFans page.
I can't believe. I'm sorry. I'm circling back to the fact that I didn't think to go get gloves, and I have them.
There's things that worry me sometimes whenever you are worried about things and then it's like a very obvious solution, like putting on gloves to a toilet or whenever that your wig fell off and it was like, just tip it over and then tip it back over. Like, you don't need to get the ladder out. And you're like,
Oh, like the wig fell off my skeleton.
yeah.
I'm a weirdo. That's a weird sentence to say.
It's like
the wig fell off my skeleton.
Yeah. Well, it's not really. If you follow us, then you know what it is.
Yeah. Go look it up.
But yeah, so just look it up. But it was for Skelly Clarkson. And I was like, you don't have to get the fucking ladder out. Just
You're like
tip her back over and put it back on and all is good. And you're like, oh, right.
I think my critical thinking skills drop whenever I'm angry. I think I've noticed that. Because I was so mad that I did that and I was already running late that I was just like, fuck it. And then now
It was also like a minute thing. It was tweezers in the toilet. You didn't just like lose a kid or like forget to put the e-brake on your vehicle that just rolled down a hill. Like, there's worse.
That's true.
There's so much worse shit to be happening anymore.
I just felt like I should fess up. I had to fess up.
That you played in your own pee.
I did.
That's great. Do your thing.
I
can tell you how long I laid in my bed the other night thinking I was laying in dog piss, and I was.
What?
I don't know why, but Theo wanted to fucking... I'm blaming Theo. It could have been Betty. Like, it could have been...
Travis?
But Theo gets... Like, he's done it before where when I was traveling a ton, he would go and pee on my bed.
He rage pees.
At one point, he peed on my fucking pillow when I was gone. And I was like, bro... Fuck you.
He's like, leave me again.
So it was like, it was in the middle of the bed where really Betty sleeps, but also Theo sleeps there sometimes, but Betty's the hogger of it. And I swear I laid in the bed and I was like, Travis, I swear to you, the bed's wet. He's like, no. And I'm like, the fucking bed is wet and it smells like pee. And he's like, what are you talking? And I'm like, get the fuck out of the bed. We're looking. And I like pull it back and I'm like, one of the dogs peed in the bed. You had me just fucking laying in piss because you wouldn't believe me that the dog fucking peed in the bed.
I love that he just laid there like, I don't believe you.
Because it was in the, right?
No,
He literally
like,
did.
Even if there's a chance that was a true story, I would get up. And he was like, no, it's not.
And it was in the spot that like I lay closer to.
Oh, well,
because it was in the middle of the bed where he lays. He's like, it's not wet here. It's not wet. I was like, dude, go like this and you're going to feel wet, you motherfuck. And he's like, and I'm like, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I'm not obviously going to lay in a bed with piss in it. And I was like, I swear to you, that's what I just said. And you're over here acting like I am making up a pee situation.
Just pee liar.
Anyway, so we had to sleep in the guest bedroom that I can never fall asleep in. Well, because it's new. I can't sleep in strange environments. I just can't at this point in my life. And that's my own guest bed. That was my bed before I bought my other bed. And I'm like, I just can't sleep in this room. I'm like,
man, first world problems.
Fucking mid-30s, midlife crisis.
Toilet tweezers, can't sleep in the guest bedroom, laying in your dog's piss. What a life we live.
It's wild. We didn't have these stories to tell you.
So zany.
You guys would be bored out of your minds. So I'm going to talk about my story.
Okay.
Now that I'm tired of thinking, I'm literally thinking about how I feel like I had a dog pee on me right now. Okay. So have you ever heard of the Bonebreaker killer?
No, but I want to.
Good. Thank goodness. Okay. So I want to thank Reddit on this one because here's what tickles my pickle, if you will. So I go on Reddit and I'm like, strange murders that you didn't know or you don't hear of often.
Okay.
They pick the Bonebreaker killer. Then I go and I Google the Bonebreaker killer. Fun fact, every fucking podcast has covered it.
Every single
And I'm like, but none of it is news article. It's all podcasters who have done it. So it's like, I don't know. I was intrigued.
Is it an old, like you have to look at the sources and stuff because it could be an old, I used to think it was old wives' tale. I have to admit those. There's someone out there that's like, you know what? I thought it was that too, Heather. Someone out there.
An old wise tale.
Old wise tale, not wives.
I mean, it makes sense. I'll give it to you.
And a tale that is old and wise. I don't know.
I was thinking like just a wise person said this and it's a tale of an old wise person.
Yeah, not old wives'
Tale, which means it's literally just a lie.
Yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't an old wise tale. God, I don't know where I'm supposed to pivot. I have no way to back out of what you just said.
Just
so
Homer Simpson into the bushes.
I'm just going to keep going.
And then keep going.
I'm going to just act like this is a couple A Sasshole. And it is just me.
A single Sasshole.
This is a single Sasshole.
A single Sasshole. It changed.
So anyway, that's why I found this. I had never even fucking heard of it. And it's such a bizarre case. I also didn't go into a ton about the killer because fuck you, he wasn't the main person to talk about on this one.
Oh.
So are there things that are leaving you wondering more? Well, go for it. Go listen to another podcast because I'm sure they covered a different angle, and that's the fun freaking part about podcasts.
That's right.
So speaking of podcasts, thank you, Morbid Podcast. I listened to y'all's. It was great. You do a great job. Thanks for being there for me during my time of need. I also looked at Ranka, Murderpedia, and Criminal Minds Wiki. I really feel like there was another one up, but who fucking knows? And hopefully they don't listen and get mad at me.
There you go.
All right. So we are in the 90s. On July 4th of 1994, we have a young boy named Christian Steiner.
Okay.
Which doesn't make you think of Chris Steiner from the 70s that was abducted. And
that's why I'm like
Chris Steiner, because I'm like, the name is so much, last names are spelled differently.
But yeah, that was the name.
It was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, is this somehow, how the fuck? Because we did that whole double up on the Steiner family, but this is a different Steiner family.
Okay.
So it's a young boy named Christian Steiner. He's only 14 years old. He's fast asleep in his bedroom in his home in Baraboo, Wisconsin. So he has a 7 a.m. shift the next morning at McDonald's because you got to start working young. You got to get that cash flowing.
At 14?
At 14.
Good for him.
I was 15 when I started at McDonald's,
Good for
personally.
you.
I know, those little child labor laws. Who needs them?
That's right.
Fuck them.
Fry them fries, child.
Make it happen.
Turn off.
I want to show you how I want to crush your life first.
Yeah.
I want to be the first one to do the first.
It's like
crush your life.
Turn off Paw Patrol and make me some fries.
Right. Right. And at that point, he's 14. He's super excited about it. He had just started the job. And so it was something that he just was enthusiastic about. It was a great time in his life. He wasn't going to just dip out and miss his shift.
Okay.
Anyway, in the morning of July 5th, his mom, Kathy, she comes into his room getting ready to wake him up so he can get to scooting. She quickly realizes he's not there, so she grabs her husband, George, and they start to look for him. So this is completely just fucking insane. Like, he was asleep. Where is he now?
Okay.
It doesn't take long for them to realize that he obviously isn't in the house at all. And as they're searching, they realize that the window screens in the other son's room have been slashed.
Oh, no.
Yes. The front and back doors were unlocked, which I'm not going to highlight as too crazy of a thing back in the 90s.
Right.
And they don't, from what I saw, there was no highlight as to whether or not the parents think that they locked the doors and just didn't double check.
A lot of times they
or
didn't
if they
do it
just
in
didn't.
smaller towns.
Right.
Where was this? Baraboo?
Wisconsin. Yeah. So I wondered the same thing on there.
Yeah.
One thing is we got all the way through and then I hear that there were not bloody, there were muddy footprints in the house too.
Uh-oh.
So it gave a lot of confusion as to the overall situation. So 14-year-old boy is missing. Screens have been cut. There's a muddy footprint, if you will, somewhere in the house. They also, let's say, they call 911 immediately. Duh. Let's hope that was going to be the case.
Right.
Now, think about two things here. He had a brother, an older brother. And so it was his bedroom that had been cut. So if you just stop and if they were to think that there was an intruder, they came in through his bedroom, saw him, went to another bedroom and got his brother.
Okay.
So I couldn't like fathom what the brother went through as he was like going through this entire experience.
Right.
The night before, George, his dad, had gone into his room just to check on him around 10 p.m. And he was asleep. He fell asleep on his bed with his clothes on from the shift before. And they were like, this wasn't shocking. He had worked a long shift. He was tired. I was like, dude, the one thing I had to do when I left was shower. Because number one, we're teenagers. Our skin is organically oily. And when you're doing a fucking French fry sauna in your fucking face all day, I was like, I had to shower. And you smelled terrible. Your clothes smelled so bad. So being me, that was one of the things I thought like, oh my gosh, he just crashed out on the bed. He's 14 from his long shift. I'm like, this is the 90s, man. Did he have a pack of Marlboro Reds and a Busch Light on the on the fucking nightstand? Fuck.
Yeah.
The family was also trying to be hopeful, and they were thinking that maybe Chris's friends cut the screen and talked him into sneaking out so they could go swimming or something. It's the summertime. The kids are out. I think that was another thing that they really wanted to highlight with Christian, which I reference as Chris because he went by Chris. During this, he was in like the most exciting time of his life. So not really, but to date, right? We're all not like, when I was 14, that was the most riveting year of my fucking I'm not saying that.
I always tell everybody I peaked at 14. Apparently, I didn't have a job, but
well, for him, it's the summertime. All of his friends are there. He has a job. His job is actually with his older brother.
Aww.
And so like he's getting this extra time with his brother.
Yeah.
And he's feeling like an adult. Money's coming in, and it's fucking a time to be alive.
Living
you know,
life
hasn't crushed you yet. So they were hoping that maybe his friends were trying to get him to be a little bad and like sneak out and go play or do something.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing that you would have imagined, though, is that somebody had broken into the home while everyone was sleeping, through a room that the brother was in, took him, and no one heard anything. No one was the wiser. That's the other thing, is there was not a struggle in any capacity. The only thing that really it showed that there was an outsider was the footprints. Now, the thought too was, okay, there's footprints in there. So obviously Chris went willingly. Right. So he left. Like the cops are like, Chris had to have left.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
That's very much in the, well, he probably just ran away, he'll come back era too.
Well, it's yes to that, but then also the evidence.
Yeah. I mean, nothing's knocked over or anything, right? Just a screen and some muddy feet.
Right. But I also do feel like, too, the cut screen should be enough to be like a warning flag of some capacity. But because you're also like, well, he wasn't a 3-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He wasn't a 5-year-old that is so asleep. They're just like, oh, dad came to pick me up. I'm going to bed. You know, like it's a 14-year-old. He is human adult thoughts. Like,
yeah. And the screen was cut. And if you're going to sneak out, you just take the whole thing off and put it back on.
If they knew how to.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know how to do that. You'd think. I don't.
It wouldn't be like, no one's going to know. Shh.
Well, it's like they were like popping up YouTube how to pull out a screen. That's what I would have done to try to figure it out.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
I mean, you're right. But anyway, so they talked to their friends, and all of their friends had said no, they never planned to meet him. They all had alibis. Were they strong? Who fucking knows? It was like fucking Tanya is watching CBS with her parents. You know, like they didn't have, well, I was at the bar until 9 o'clock. I have a receipt. I grabbed an Uber and I headed home. Like none of that nonsense, you know? Just saying.
I wish you talked like that all the time.
Well, I can if you'd like.
I want you to do the rest of the story like that.
Perfect. I'm not going.
Whatever.
So, and then as you said, the next thought is he had to have run away. Yeah. Because, duh, there's forced entry with the thing being cut, the screen, but the fact that there wasn't any sense of a struggle. So maybe he told his friend to come into the house and take him.
Yeah, who knows?
Still, whatever.
Yeah.
I did get my Google on though, because I was like, what is up with this? Like, oh, they ran away. How many people are really running away?
Okay.
I ponder. And this is what I found on the Googs. So the 2023, the National Center for State Legislators said that roughly 1.5 million children and adolescents run away from home.
1.5
million children.
Damn.
Yeah, a year. And that was like, I'm going to guess it had to be, it's 2023, it had to be the year. But I'm like, damn, 1.5 million. The reasons that they listed were family conflicts, abuse, and neglect.
That's sad.
It is sad. And I'm sure there's so many that, I wanted to be like, how are we certain that 1.3, like, how do we, or that 1.5, how do we know that it wasn't people who have died? You really don't know.
Yeah.
You really don't know.
Sad.
It is. This item that didn't make any sense to me on the runaway concept was that the screen had obviously been cut. Like, why would you do that? If the front doors were unlocked, just walk the fuck out. Yeah. Then also there was no sighting of him for the days afterwards. That was the biggest thing that they were like, okay, he probably wasn't, like, someone would have seen him or helped him. There weren't any home issues, no parental abuse, nothing to create an environment that you needed to flee from. He was working with his brother Jim, and it was the summer, and he had fresh jingle in his pocket, and he was, on top of it. It was a good timing for him.
Yeah.
When he was going to go back to school, he was officially going to be a freshman. So, like, just an exciting brand new chapter in his life. Everyone was searching. Everyone was open to communicating. They weren't holding things back, and they were generally, truly just trying to find him.
Yeah.
George and Kathy were on the news. They were doing basically that media tour that you have to do, just trying to shine light on what was going on and tell everyone about their son's disappearance, and just trying their fucking damnedest to get him back or find him.
Yeah.
Just 5 days later, on July 10th, Christian Steiner's body was found floating in the Wisconsin River by 2 jet skiers.
No.
The body was rather decomposed, and they had to use dental records to confirm that it was him. Keeping in mind, we're talking July, we're talking about the summer, a river, everything to really decompose that body to a faster degree. The autopsy was completed the next day, and Dr. Robert Huntington said that the body was in the water for at least 2 days, but probably longer. This point will confuse me later as we hear more about what happened.
Okay.
But it's just me on the road to assumptions that 30 years later, we're able to pinpoint someone's actual time of death, because them seeing, the thought is that if he left his house to go party with his friends and he ends up accidentally drowning or something, then that body would have been in the water for 5 days.
Yeah.
4 days.
Yeah.
At the very least. So I'm going to say as well, like, the belief was that he died by drowning. But the advanced decomp of the body made it hard to confirm. So they believe accidental drowning. The other issue was that they couldn't pinpoint where he had gotten into the water. So with the currents, the rain, just all that nature shit that happens, it changes things up over days in the summertime. How much water has risen. They weren't sure where he had gotten in, and they didn't have a way to confirm that either. Was he dead before he went into the water, or was it after? Obviously, the assumption would be before, because they believed that he had drowned, but they do not fully.
Yeah, like, they don't know.
They don't fully know that. Another part that just blows my mind was, like, they said that he didn't come out with, like, a lot of abrasions or bruising on the body. And that's something, like, I'm just curious about if we just put a little pin in that for later. What we end up finding out is it makes no sense that you wouldn't have been able to see that. And that's what makes me think them saying that there wasn't bruising or abrasions was clearly because of the amount of decomp. So it was almost like you're saying that, but you really don't, like, I just don't understand how there couldn't have been.
Yeah.
And that could also include, like, I do believe, like, obviously we could be cut after death, like thrown into a river. If that was the case, your body, you hit branches.
That's what I was thinking.
I would believe you'd get cut, but there wouldn't be any, like, blood seeping. But I wonder if that's the same for bruising. Like, if, like, you wouldn't get bruising if you hit a tree because there's no blood circulating through your body to then pull up against that bruise.
That's a good point.
So so in my mind, this genius fucking mind of mine, I'm like, he had to, the bruise or whatever would have happened to his body before he went in had to have been prior to his death. So when we hear more later, you'll be like, now I see. Why do we act like his body's in pristine condition? Because it just doesn't, the math doesn't math for me on Chris Steiner's body when it's pulled out of the water.
Okay.
I'm also not I don't know shit about that. All right. So they do what they do and they rule it as an accidental death. They're still holding on, thinking that this is what they held on to, was that he did sneak out and that his friends were having a party and they were on the banks of the water, or the banks of the water, and they were partying. And they're like, they are just they felt like maybe the kids thought that they were too afraid to tell the truth and that this is what happened. So the cops ended up like driving around trying to find this party scene so they could be like, Tanya, you were there and you were drinking the beer.
Yeah.
And Chris walked off. He said he was going to go skinny dipping and you guys ignored him and he drowned.
Yeah.
You guys were to blame. Like kind of a situation like that. But because the water had risen, all of the campsites or the places that they could have been where they could have found Busch Light cans or fucking
Boone's Farm.
An apple with a hole out of it and resin. I don't fucking know. But they don't find any of those things.
Marijuana?
The marijuana bong. The apple marijuana
Out of
bong.
an apple.
Yeah. Fruit.
Fruit. Say it right.
Flute. Just gotta get that flute in.
You could be you could make me so mad and then be like, oh, do you want a piece of fruit? And then I would be like, I'm not mad at you anymore.
I'm gonna start doing that now.
No.
Now I know whenever I piss you off, I'd be like, flute.
Yes, please.
Anywho, so I felt terrible for the kids, like the kids who were Chris's friends that then were basically like, I don't know to the degree were the cops coming by every day talking to Tanya. There was no Tanya. That's the name I've chosen.
I was about
Tanya
to ask
is an imaginary friend that I've created.
Like, did you watch the Tanya Harding documentary?
No,
because
Tanya just felt like a 90s name that maybe she would leave a party.
Tanya Harding.
Well, and anyway.
The
answer is no.
Okay, well, I was almost about to write down Tanya with the question mark. Like, did she say that? I missed it.
No, it's no one.
Like,
it's just a made up
his girlfriend,
right? He's 14. Which, what does that mean anymore? Anywho, so what I was saying once more, I think now the third time I'm going to finish this thought, is that I felt bad for Chris's friends. They lost him, and I feel like the cops were still focused on maybe they had something that they weren't telling them, and they're really like, dude, I was literally at home watching fucking Blue's Clues. I don't know how much more I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I was at home.
Yeah, and they were pushing that party by the water.
Yeah, because
narrative.
I think it gave them a safer explanation as to like what happened.
Yeah.
Like, why did this happen? It wasn't an abductor. It was just kids having fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, I need to stop saying anyway. Fuck, I did it again.
It's a drinking game.
I know.
Here, I'll take a drink. You said it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the family is left to mourn the loss of their son, constantly wondering about the slit in the screen, the footprints, the doors. They felt like that Chris's friends were leaving. How do I word this? They thought that Chris's friends left him to die.
Oh.
They thought that, like, what was it that made you guys leave my son out there? Because that's what had to have happened.
Yeah.
In their mind, that is what had to have happened. So Christian Steiner was buried at St. Joseph Cemetery on July 14th of 94. A year will pass before the story comes to a head.
Oh.
So here we go.
We're going?
On July 29th, 1995, so like a year and a few weeks later, 13-year-old Thad Phillips was asleep on his couch like a little angel with his baby 5-year-old. She'd be like, I am not a baby. The little 5-year-old sister in their new home, where you may have guessed, is in Baraboo, Wisconsin. He's still asleep when he finds someone picking him up. Of course, he thinks it's his dad taking him to bed because that's the cute, usual thing. I wish my dad would carry me to bed anymore. He's jostled awake and he's super disoriented when he realizes that he's actually outside of his house with another teen boy that he's never met.
What?
Do you want me to really repeat it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, just sleeping on his couch. Thinks his dad's taking him to bed. He groggily wakes up outside of his house. So his original thought, that being, a young little lad, was that the boy was friendly. And he had asked Thad to help him with his car. So, kid's so confused and groggy that he just is not comprehending that he was removed from his home.
Yeah.
And now in the street in his neighborhood with a teenager who's asking him for help with his car. And so he just follows him to his house.
Oh.
Yeah. Out of just sheer confusion as to what the fuck is going on.
That's like child innocence too.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah,
he's 13. He was asleep. You're older I wouldn't think anything of it really either.
Yeah, I'd be like, I mean, okay, I was sleeping, but
Yeah. So they end up walking a half a mile to this kid's house. So yes, they are indeed neighbors.
and he walked it. Okay.
And he just goes in. When he gets there, the boy says his name is Joe and that he is soon going to throw him a party. He named other boys' names. I knew I was going to do that. Boys' names.
Boises?
Boise.
Idaho.
Yes.
Names.
Boys'
How do you say that?
other young male individuals' names
Names.
that he actually knew.
Oh.
And said that they were going to be there soon. So unidentified kid, he's like, yo, Tanya.
Man, that bitch, she's
Hey, yo, Tanya. So Tanya's coming. Fucking Chad. Drew's around the corner. Jess is headed.
Around the corner.
Like,
Jess is right there.
I really.
Ayo, Tanya.
Hey, yo, Tanya.
What?
So anyway, this kid is at his neighbor's house in his living room. And he's like, all right, gonna be a party. I don't want to be here. When Tanya shows up, it's always a good time.
Wonderboy Media is not only the proud producer of this glorious magic imploring your ear holes right now, but they're also a big deal.
Get in touch with them today to make all of your dreams a freaking reality.
From using their bangin' ass podcast studio,
Where we are right now,
to creating amazing videos and editing our content like the mystical mavericks they are.
your podcast can go further when you have a Wonder Boy.
Hit up Drew today at WBOYmedia.com.
Or text him day or night at 270.
Just kidding.
The boy is super confused. He is at the 17-year-old's home. Keep in mind, the 17-year-old lives with his parents. I'll never understand anything with that. So I'm just going to tell you the 17-year-old boy lives with his parents, and I'm leaving it as it is.
Okay.
That's all I got.
I won't say.
While they waited for this little preteen party, Joe asks him if he'd like to see his model cars that were upstairs. That is like, sure, why not? Once more, no clue as to what he thought was actually like happening here. Like
I'm questioning what's happening here.
Right? I don't know what he was thinking to himself. So I will give you a warning at this point that this will be extreme content, and you have been warned from this portion forward.
Oh God, it's gonna get bad.
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as Thad gets upstairs, and this is apparently from what I read from, I think this is what Morbid had said, like whenever he gets upstairs, he's officially like, I would like to go home. May I please go home?
Now he's like awake, like what is happening?
Right. And he's just now things are like coming together, and he's like, I just want to go home, be with my parents. And as soon as he goes upstairs, this is when Joe completely changes that friendly preteen fucking persona. And just for a fact check, he's actually 17 years old, and he is a piece of utter shit. So he grabs Thad and threw him on a dirty bed. He jumped on top of him, and he grabbed him by the ankle. He then began to twist Thad's little 13-year-old foot around until around his leg until the bone above his ankle snapped and splintered.
What the? That took a dark turn real quick.
It's called the Bonebreaker killer.
I know.
I was wondering how it's all bone breaking. Yes. The torture he inflicts on Thad is severe, and it occurs for hours at a time. It was reported that he would take out his daily frustrations by breaking the bones of his victims. In one case, Joe's car wouldn't start, so he twisted Thad's legs until they splintered, then broke his knees and jumped on top of his chest.
I hate this.
Yes. It said that when he would try to fight back or escape, the torment would become way more brutal. And at one point, Joe even tries to suffocate him with a pillow over his face. 13-year-old Thaddeus Phillips has his bones broken manually for 43 hours.
No, I was going to ask you
During this time frame, Joe would be taunting him on how he enjoyed the sound of Thad's bones breaking. And then he would threaten to kill him. And then he would also just take him downstairs for movies, and he would treat him like a confidant or one of his homeboys. Yes.
What? Okay. Okay. I got nothing because
I can't even fathom.
can't wrap my brain around it.
I can't even fathom. Like, I've broken my leg before and I've like dislocated a shoulder and I've sprained things. And I couldn't imagine like the degree of the breaks that end up happening to imagine just somebody taking your foot and bending it until it
Sadly, I did imagine that whenever you said it. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Because he was breaking like femurs and like.
How do you even fucking do? Okay.
To a 13-year-old.
Jesus.
To a young body. A body who hasn't even hit its growth plates yet. I would presume would be like the biggest factor is their age. Because I don't think you could just come up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if Drew was really committed, because he's a big guy and has strength, I feel like, yeah, he could break my legs if he wanted to. But I'm pretty sure if you tried, you couldn't do it. Like, I don't think. All
right, get up.
But you know, I feel like the requirement is like true strength because he's just holding and doing it. Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I want to. Okay, keep going.
I will.
My palms are sweating. I don't like this story. Okay.
If you're ever like, oh my God, I loved hearing about that terrible murder, then
do you have audio? Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about some badassness.
Okay.
So badassness that is hard enough to have as like a grown human with a spouse and kids and like this whole life that you've created to fight to live. You know what I mean? It's hard enough as a normal human in a horrible situation like that to even want to live as an adult.
Yeah.
This shit that fucking Thad does, like Thaddeus.
I do love that name.
I do too. This dude is the shit. This 13-year-old boy in 94 was the shit. So
43 hours and he's still alive.
We're going to talk more about the 43 hours. So he refuses to give up on the thought that he'll be able to escape because essentially he's in a house right down the street from his parents.
Yeah.
So during his 43 hours of captivity, Thad Phillips made at least 2 attempts to escape Joe, whose last name was Clark. I realize I never say shit about Joe Clark besides him being a 17-year-old fucking psychopath. The first attempt happened immediately after Clark broke Phillips his ankle. Like the second he broke Thad's ankle, he like felt more shock than pain and he was able to leap off the bed towards the stairs, but he was caught. He then suffered further injuries, including having his leg stretched back until his thigh bone fractured. He would also, this is a weird one too. So Joe apparently would act like a caregiver as well.
Is this like Misery?
Yeah. That's what I thought about when I found it.
God,
I thought about Misery.
Fucking Joe Kathy Bates Clark over there.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking psycho.
Oh.
That's
my
a
gosh.
good ass movie though.
That was a good ass movie. I saw it and was like, the only reason I saw it was because of Family Guy. That one episode of Family Guy where I was like, what is this that they're making jokes about? And I found out it was Misery and then I watched the movie. So apparently he would also act like he was the caregiver. And after Joe would like go through this breaking spree of Thad's bones, he would take white socks and wrap them over his broken legs until they were like thickly padded.
What?
I don't know. He also would make Thad wear leg braces and attempt to walk before beginning another cycle of torture.
Okay.
I guess he would try to see what bones were left. I don't know.
Okay.
Thad would later say, my info saying that Thad is alive, he would say that he would then stomp on his broken bones after he would tend to the wounds. So he would manually break his legs, wrap them up like he's caring for them, and then stomp them.
No.
It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Okay. No, it isn't. You're right. It's not believable.
Right.
I feel like you made this up, and I kind of wish you did just make this up.
I did too. In the second attempt, Thad had managed to crawl down the stairs because at this point you have to imagine he has no working use of his legs.
Right.
There's no.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is like he was the Bonebreaker in his focus, but it completely it stopped them from being able to move.
Yeah.
So anyway, he crawled down the stairs into the kitchen before Joe returned home with his girlfriend.
Stop it. Is her name Tanya?
Right. So Yeah, he had a girlfriend. So he had to have been, I don't want to say normal, but.
What? He lived with his parents?
Yeah, you had a boyfriend at 17.
No, I'm asking. Yeah, but I wasn't breaking my neighbor's legs in my bed. I'm just curious about where the parents
I have no
were or
idea.
whatever.
And that was one of the things that somebody wrote on like Reddit. They're like, I'll never understand where the parents were
Latchkey
in
kid?
anything of it.
Like, what's that?
Well, and I also read that it was a dirty bed. So I'm also like, was he like not being taken care of
Doesn't
by his
sound
parents?
like it.
I
Sorry,
don't know.
keep going. Let's hear about how he somehow had a fucking
So
girlfriend.
poor Thad was like on the floor in the kitchen, and Joe was there with his girlfriend, and they were just watching TV in the living room. Yeah. And he couldn't do anything. So he just hid in the kitchen. And then once Joe's girlfriend had left, Joe found him and then started locking him in a closet. So if he ever left the house, Joe now locked him in a closet instead of tying him to a bed, because that's essentially what he was doing.
I hate this.
Thad was like, hold my beer.
Hold
He's my beer.
13, so you-hoo.
I'm sure he drank beer after this. That was his first fucking chug.
I'm going to drink a beer after this. My God.
So he ends up breaking through the closet with an electric guitar.
What?
Thad smashes through the closet door with an electric guitar that was in the closet.
That's very metal. That's very metal.
Very metal.
That's very metal.
I was like, who is metal? Thad. Thad's metal.
Thad's metal.
Man.
Sounds like a small business.
I know, right?
Thad's metal. Thad's is metal. The boys is metal.
Let it go.
Never.
Okay, I'm unsure of which phone he made it to. I actually think when I was listening to something else, I was like, I think he actually just made it downstairs and called 911 from the home.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds
He
right.
was rescued.
He was.
So fuck to the yes. He's rescued, and 17-year-old Joe Clark was arrested. I read that Joe was arrested at a party or something that his like girlfriend was at too. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do here.
Can I look up
I
his
can't believe
photo?
that he's like, no, because you can in a second.
Okay.
He like, what'd you do?
I hit the mic again because Jess told me not to hit it, and I've done it like 12 times.
I understand that.
I don't like to follow rules.
No, you are carefree, footloose and fancy free. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh,
I think I was just saying like,
he was at a party.
this dude was at a party when he had someone held captive in his house. Like
Psycho.
at his parents' house, a week, or not a week, I'm sorry, like a half a mile from the kid's house. I'm just like, and all you do is close them in a closet. I feel like in no scenario, if someone just threw me in a closet and I didn't have my legs fucking obliterated, I would just be like, I'm not just sitting in this closet. Get me the fuck out of here.
That you'd say it just like that.
Yes.
You get very Valley Girl when you're held captive.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God, you guys!
I need to use the restroom.
It is like so dark in here.
Then that would totally, please, I never want to get held captive. I do not want anyone to snatch me. I don't want any of that. Try to look alive, pay attention, park under lighted things, have fucking pepper spray. If you enjoy the gun experience, have one of those, at least a dagger or a machete.
A dagger.
All of these things, guys. We have to protect ourselves.
those-
Ain't nobody
what are
else
they
trying to
called?
protect us.
What are those things called? The big, with the spike, where you put your fingers through it and there's two spikes coming out. You're just staring at my hand like.
Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
I was like, I put my finger up and you were like
like
no,
knuckles?
It's like a katana or something. It's called something. Wait, I promise I'm not making shit up.
It sounds like it. It really does. Sadly enough, Thad would, as I just jump right back in, no segue.
I know. I'm like, let me get back somber again.
I
I'm over
know.
here like,
Well, he was just rescued.
okay.
He would, sadly though, permanently walk with a limp as a consequence to the torture.
Oof.
But he, for the most part, has recovered.
But he survived.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So while Thad was in his torture experience, Joe had admitted to killing 2 other boys. He listed both of their names. The only name that Thad could remember by the time he was in front of the cops was Chris. So there's a second boy that they never found out. And yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and that's so sad. I felt bad for Thad too, knowing that like whenever he did get back, he mentioned Chris and they end up doing what I'm about to tell you. So it must have been like, I feel like his brain has to like randomly be like, it was Joe or it was John or just like, who was it? Like, what was the name?
Yeah.
Because they were able to actually figure it out for what happened to Chris. So they actually resumed Chris's remains. The coroner found that he had injuries similar to Thad's and reclassified his death as a homicide.
That's why you said that about the Walter.
Yes. Christian Steiner was horrifically held captive at Joe Clark's house for 5 days. And remember how I said it was weird that about them saying that he had been in the water for longer?
Yeah.
He wasn't. Throughout his captivity, Chris was tortured by repeated brutal dislocations of joints in his legs and his feet. Then on July 9th, the day before he was found, Joe had taken Chris to the Wisconsin River and threw him into the water while he was still alive to watch him drown because he knew he couldn't swim because his legs were broken. Isn't that so sad?
Everything about
So after everything, he threw him in the water to drown. And then somehow and that's why I never understood. All of his legs were like all of his legs, like he has fucking
all 2 of them.
All of his 8 tentacles. No, his 2 legs were like completely shattered. How, when he was alive, that would have been bruising. No matter what, it would have been bruising.
Yeah. Yes.
So then what happened there?
I don't know.
And I just wondered too, like it was 94. I pondered on that a lot because I was like, they could have easily explained that away to the body being in the water. He could have broken the legs after death on rocks, boulders, anything.
Yeah.
So but they never even mentioned that. They said that they specifically said that there wasn't anything out of the norm for him in his home. And I'm like, how is that? Or him in his home, his body, his person.
Yeah. I hate this. I'm going to say it 19 times.
Yeah. Well,
I hate this story.
I understand that.
It's making me cringe. Like
it's terrible.
It is very awful.
So authorities arrested Joe while he was at that party with his girlfriend. They began to search his house. They looked for indication of previous victims, but instead they found evidence suggesting Joe intended to capture more boys. In the house, police located a school notebook which listed names of over a dozen local boys, including some that Thad actually knew. It's likely, in my mind, those were the names that he had listed so that Thad would think he was a friend and not a foe. The boys' names were in different columns, detailing whether or not he should kidnap them soon or later and what he wanted to do to them. Part of the list included a column titled The Leg Thing.
Fucking stop.
Suggesting that he intended to break the bones of his future victims as well.
The fuck is wrong with this kid?
I don't fucking know.
Like,
I didn't look into him at all. I was more excited about Thad and like I had a survivor story. I didn't.
That is.
And Joe, they only tell you what he did. It's another one of those weird ones where they're like, I ponder this. Is it that we're only hearing what they did and we're not hearing anything about their previous life because we don't want to shine light on their previous life? But that's kind of defeating the purpose of us trying to be able to profile and understand killers and see what went wrong. But
that's why I'm asking questions, because it's like you don't just go from nothing to let me catch this boy and break every bone in his fucking legs. Like there's got to be you escalate from something. Like I don't think I want to know. Like, did he fall out of a tree and break his arm and heard the crack and that was like, I don't know.
Oh shit, my dick got hard. Right? Because obviously he had a fetish for the sound of bones breaking. I don't know. In October of 97, Joe Clark was found guilty of the following crimes related to his abduction of Thad Phillips, causing great bodily harm to a child.
That was good.
That was pretty.
I love that.
Child enticement. Yeah. Attempted first degree intentional homicide, mayhem, and mental harm to a child.
Mayhem?
Mayhem.
You can be charged with mayhem?
I guess so. That's very mayhem.
My accent makes it thicker though. I say mayhem. Mayhem. Okay.
It's just
You're
mayhem.
about to charge me with mayhem.
I am. Things. And mental harm to a child. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but the jury believed he was sane. Joe Clark was sentenced to 100 years in prison and later received an additional 50-year sentence for the murder of Christian Steiner. To this day, Joe apparently maintains he has no memory of what he did to Thaddeus Phillips and claims he is innocent of Chris Steiner's death. He later attempted to appeal some of the convictions based on a lack of evidence, but the district court was like, no. Dismiss.
I mean, I think I would, if I was this wackadoodle, I think I'd be like, I don't remember any of that. I don't know. I just don't remember just going up into jail, being 17 or prison, being 18. You're like, oh yeah, I just snapped some kid's bones for days. What a little fucking psychopath.
So, like, wouldn't you think, though, if you did go to prison and you were the Bonebreaker killer, like, wouldn't you tell people? I'd be like, I break bones.
Yeah, but...
And they're like, break mine, bitch. I'm fucking huge.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. But
really?
I don't know. Luckily, I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
It's not going to be an inner struggle I have to worry about.
Good for you.
Because I don't even eat chicken wings. So.
Yeah, you have a love of bones and meat on them.
I knew you were going to say, she loves the bones.
She loves the bones. What was I going to say? Oh, so Thaddeus did eventually sue Joe Clark and won $21 million. But the worst part, he never got any of his money.
I was like, where does he have $21 million?
I don't know how that ever happens. Well, you can just be sued for it. Everyone can be sued for it. And then you're making payments your whole life until you die.
Yeah. But I mean, what's he going to pay him in soups? In his prison
Well,
soups?
his parents, their house, they would have gone after everything that you had and anything that was anyone else's.
Well, fuck his parents, because we still don't know where they're at.
Fuck them.
So just buying him electric guitars and leaving him unsupervised.
And that's the other thing. They said dirty bed, but you have an electric guitar.
Oh,
that math ain't mathin' for me either.
He's filthy.
I mean, I get a good Black Friday deal, but
90s was grunge. Did you say Black Friday deal?
Yeah, maybe that was a Black Friday deal. Because what we forgot to say is this is Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
happy Thanksgiving
with my gobble earrings.
Yes,
so cute,
super cute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say happy Thanksgiving again in the end. So we can be like something Thanksgiving related. Anyway, let me finish. Yeah. All right, so when Thaddeus had entered the hospital, he had serious, potentially life-threatening internal bleeding because he was stomped on so many times.
Ugh.
Doctors said that he was possibly hours away from passing. He received immediate medical care, but they had to repair his legs and hope to save his mobility at all. So he had to have multiple surgeries. And that's how they got to that dollar amount, was the amount of how much time, how much compensation he needed for the fucking surgeries.
Yes.
As part of the $21 million settlement, Thad was to receive $31,566 in medical damages, $6 million in compensation, $15 million in punitive damages. He has never had the money, Joe has never had the money to pay Thad for the years of expensive surgeries and medical treatments he's done. And just like what you said, how are they going to get him? And in no way, which seems so pointless.
Yeah.
But in April of 2023, Baraboo local Olga Johnson and her husband set up a GoFundMe with a $100,000 goal to help Phillips. Johnson said at the time of Thad, he saved the community, and I wanted to say thank you to Thad. He brought peace to Chris Steiner's family. Now, they do have this GoFundMe page available.
Oh, so?
And so I'm going to attach it whenever we do our social media post.
Oh, good.
It's from 2023. It's obviously 2024. Their goal is $100,000. Currently, they're only at $14,812. So
Brooklyn's going to donate.
Whoa.
You would if you could.
I absolutely.
Yeah, I would
oh
too.
my gosh. So yeah, if you have a little extra jingle in your pocket, let's make sure we're donating to the GoFundMe page for Thaddeus Phillips. And as I mentioned, we'll make sure to put the link out there.
Yeah.
I know I didn't cover shit about the killer, and it's because I don't fucking care, because I was really excited about our survivor in this. And so that's the survivor story of Thaddeus Phillips and the sad murder of Chris Steiner by the Bonebreaker killer.
I'd never heard that in my entire life, and I could have gone my entire life with never knowing that, because that story is so awful.
It is awful.
Good for Thad, sad for Chris, right?
Mm-hmm.
The name right? Yeah. But
the unidentified, there's an unidentified second boy
and
out
that
there.
poor person's family too. But
I know. And I wonder, though, wouldn't you just think to go through any, and I'm totally understanding that I didn't look like, I am not on the police force at Baraboo County.
Well,
but I'm just
lied to
curious why
everybody.
they didn't then pull any 13 to 14-year-old boy that lived in the area.
Yeah. And he was a half a mile away from his house.
Yeah.
So, well, they probably hadn't made it over there yet. Because usually they're like, we canvassed the neighborhood. But, I mean.
I know. Well, if he had somebody tied upstairs in his bedroom, they're not searching the house unless they have probable cause.
True.
If a
And
kid's
they're like-
missing, you can't just walk into every person's house.
They I'm so nosy. I would love to do that. I'd be like, let me see upstairs. But yeah, especially if a 17-year-old kid answers the door, you're not going to be like, oh, it's you taking children. You know?
Who knows?
Like, they probably wouldn't think that, though, if they knocked on the door. Either.
It depends if it was like a grunt. I would assume it, but if it was, you're right.
Like
how you would have never guessed that this was a 17-year-old
No.
neighbor kid.
When you said that, I was like thinking some creepy, like you automatically
Old guy
think
who
some
like
creep-
raped him and so no, and he had just like, I'm angry at life. I need to abuse. I'm going to, and it makes me wonder, was his parents abusive?
It's awful.
Did they leave him and he was at his own fucking discretion? Was he doing what other people did to him?
I don't
Because
know.
it takes something special to think to do that shit. It takes something special.
Right?
It takes, and by special, I mean not special, but an amount of mental health issues wrapped up into some type of abuse, some
Yeah.
type of trauma, and then something else that then like
Yeah.
sets it all off, puts
Yeah.
it in motion.
Yeah, that's not like you don't just trip and fall into that. That's like, I don't know. This one's going to
terrible.
stick with me for
Yep.
a minute.
It, yes,
For sure.
hmm
Ugh,
I agree.
God.
Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you, Reddit. Thank you, Morbid Podcast. Thank you, Ranka, for all of your information. I just want to say thank you.
Yeah,
Probably because it's Thanksgiving.
it is.
It is Thanksgiving right now.
It is.
What are you most excited about on Thanksgiving? Like, what's your thing?
I come to your house.
Yes. But
And then we go to my sister-in-law's house.
oh, it's not like a food thing?
Oh, like you want to know what? I was like, oh, it's fun to go to your house.
I'm over here like, it's really the big dance. It's the one meal that I actually do for the family. I do full Thanksgiving. I do Easters too on sometimes, depending on where Mary wants to be, which is Travis's mom.
That's like
So-
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving is usually the one where I have one breakdown because turkey's got to be moist. I have a lot of anxiety over
Why?
because I
do you
don't
say
care
that
that
word?
you don't like the word
A
moist.
lot of people don't.
You should care more about the fact that I'm concerned about how juicy my fucking turkey is.
Say juicy. That's all you got. That's all you got to do. A lot of people feel that way about the M word.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Comment.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know if you have an issue with the word moist.
Oh my gosh. But okay.
I don't know why people even have issues with words. Life's too fucking complicated and hard to be worried about a word.
Here she goes.
I don't care about any word. Nothing actually like really gets to me on a word.
Yeah. That one gets my goat. I'm not, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is like the Make Heather Cringe episode. You're like, what? Well, let's talk about breaking bones, and I'll just talk about juicy turkeys and say it in the worst way possible. I feel like you were like
I delivered then,
poking
guys.
the bear. You did.
I delivered. You're
10
welcome.
out of 10 delivered
No.
on your mission.
We hope that you guys know how grateful we are for you on this special day of thanks.
This special day.
Please continue to like us,
Yeah.
and we'll continue to like you. We will keep putting out that fresh content that's as juicy as one of my turkeys. Y'all, just don't forget. Don't get mad.
Get sassy.
We love you.
We love you. Bye.
This episode was sponsored, edited, and produced by Wonderboy Media. Get the deets at WBOYmedia.com to see how you can make your podcast dreams a reality.
Help us out and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to our audio project. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at, of course, a couple of Sassholes.
Want more sass? Become a member of our Patreon for bonus content, merch, and more. Plus, we're on Cameo now, so there's even more ways to get the sass you need just how you like it. As always, don't get mad.
Get sassy.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?